Hey, Mike.
Hey, how about that? Oh, well,
Are you having a
Ricky,
problem?
can you hear me? Can you?
I can hear you a little bit.
No.
Not a lot though. Is it stuck?
I can't breathe. Woo! Oh.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
maybe we should just start the show.
Okay, let's start the show. Put the
It's a Something About Something podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Shelley.
and my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Pope. That was too. Hey, we got three people. Thank you for not
know.
leaving. I think I just shattered some stereo speakers. Welcome to the Something About Something podcast, where we give you your money's worth.
Well, I don't know about their money's worth, but we give them something.
Well, I mean, they're not paying, so they get what they get.
Oh, that is true. You do.
That's
I
what
guess
I'm
they
saying.
do get their
We just
money's
lost.
worth.
We just lost somebody when I said that. Oh,
When you
my.
pay nothing, you get nothing.
That's right,
all
and
I'm saying.
and you're definitely getting nothing from us. So anyway, Ricky, how is your week? As you take a sip out of our Something About Something mugs. That's right. It can be one. It can be yours for a simple price of $45.95.
That
kinda
seems awfully expensive.
Yeah, but our faces are on it. Look at that.
That is true. Our faces are on it. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry
don't
to
know.
all the audience that our faces are on it.
Thanks. Thanks. Okay.
Well, we have a special guest tonight.
I know,
right?
it's exciting. Yeah, I'm
We
so excited
do.
about that.
We got one of the co-hosts of Tatooine Sons is going to come on the show here in a little bit. We got a
that's
few
awesome.
things to take care of first, but how you been, my friend?
Good. A lot of changes going on. I haven't said a whole lot, but I am going to be going to another job starting April the 1st.
Wow.
I will be leaving 20 years at the Oklahoma City, community college here locally, and I will be going to a hospital to do IT support. So anyway, hey, Jason Hamilton, I have never been more motivated to pay for a good service. Wow. He's lucky that
Jason-
He's lucky that I will no longer be his boss here pretty soon. That's all I have to say.
Jason also wants to know. He says, "Aren't you a little short or something for a stormtrooper?" Nice.
I don't have my
nice.
soundboard, but if I had it.
Daryl McCarty, it's good to have you, sir.
Thank you. This is a good show, Daryl. You will have a lot to input. This is going to be a great show. I mean, man,
It is going to be a great show. And a really great show.
really a great show, man. Let's do the happenings of the week. I don't have a I don't have any music for it, but let's do the happening of the week. There's so much going on. First off, you've heard WandaVision. Man, what a great.
It was amazing, my friend. I
know there's
absolutely loved it.
There are some people who didn't like it, but I don't think they actually understood what was going on. I don't know
Oh
if
no, lots of people didn't get it.
they didn't get it. So, but man, it was awesome. And people need to understand this is a setup to something else.
Yes. Well, and the big thing was I think a lot of people expected it to be a big, Marvel fight scene from the get-go, and that just wasn't where this was going.
It was all about
you were gonna
love,
have to-
hurt, guilt, horror
Yes.
combined in one.
Yeah, definitely. I said on another podcast that that the theme of the show is definitely love,
Yeah.
and one of the sub themes is grief.
I tell you what, though, I will say, if you haven't seen it yet, one thing I thought was amazing. I thought Agatha's punishment was appropriate.
Yes.
I think it was appropriate. Jason Hamilton, I didn't get it, of course. I didn't watch it, so that's probably why. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Jason.
We need to block him or something. So anyway,
we should. Hey, by the way, it looks like I'm going to be running comments tonight because the podcast wife was having some kind of problem and wasn't able to click on them.
Oh no!
So I'm not sure
no.
why, but I'm able to do it. So
okay,
I'll
well,
run
good
comments
deal.
for
Good
us
deal.
tonight. Sorry, you get to hear behind the scenes a little bit.
Yeah, let's
as we figure life out.
Yes.
So what else do we have? We have a little more news, just a couple.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, we all know Falcon Winter Soldier's coming March 19th. Yes. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Justice League, but I have a little news.
We'll get to that a little later.
A little bit later, but Snyder Cut leaked. They were doing a premiere of Tom and Jerry, and instead of Tom and Jerry, it cut right into Justice League. And I think within 5 minutes, they caught it, shut it down, and
that had to be a publicity stunt.
I don't know. It could have been.
Had to be a publicity stunt.
But the Snyder Cut will come. I know. Hey, I don't know, man.
There's no way they did that by accident. Either that or somebody got fired.
Well,
somebody got fired over that.
I don't know, man. I don't know. And then we have, well, I mean, it's coming out. Actually, Stranger Things creator and Steven Spielberg, they're doing adapting the Stephen King's Talisman for Netflix. I'm not familiar with the Talisman.
I'm not familiar with that one either. I'm not a huge Stephen King fan, but I know some of his work. The Stand is a pretty interesting work that he's written. But I'm not familiar with the Talisman. Could be interesting. Going to be Netflix, so it could be good. They've done a great job on other things.
And mentioning different Stranger Things, or actually, I think they're going to.
My wife keeps asking about when season 4 is coming out.
Yes, and
she is bugging me to death about it.
It's supposed to come out later this year. The series has expanded its cast for the next season. They have a Nightmare on Elm Street, Robert Englund. He's in it, and Game of Thrones, Tom. I can't remember Rashida. Well, but anyway, so
interesting.
Yeah, so Nightmare on Elm Street. That's interesting. I wonder what he's going to play. Very 80s, but
that'd be funny if they just had. Be pretty.
Yeah, but yeah. So that's a happening of the week, man. Anything else that's going on this week that we need to know about? I
don't have anything right offhand. I mean, we still know about the Bad Bunch, but that's not till May.
Yeah, excited about that.
Black Widow's coming out really soon.
Yes.
That's going to be good, but that's going to be theaters only, it looks like. Doesn't look like they're going to do Disney Premier Access. So, I would have paid for that one. I would have paid for that one.
I would, yeah.
There was something, Raya and the Last Dragon released on Disney Plus Premier Access and in theaters. It topped the box office in theaters, and it just killed on Rotten Tomatoes. 95 from the critics.
Wow.
And an 85 from audience. Huge numbers.
That is amazing.
I never see anybody get a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see that movie. It's on Premier Access for Disney Plus right now.
Well, I am looking forward to that.
That's all I have, my friend.
Well, we got a lot going on. I think we should go right into stupid news. Hey, Todd.
Todd VC says it's a faulty AB switch. That's why the Snyder Cut was leaked. And just a reminder, Mike, it's Todd VC. VC. Okay.
It's a good thing me and him are good friends. I tell you that. But anyway.
Shall we do some stupid news?
Let's do some stupid news and get this show on the road.
It's the Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling. I'm trying out new voices.
I like it. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with
it. Trying to get a little bit different voice for that one. So
for my first story, we're in the situation, we're in virtual land where everybody's doing social distance, and so nowadays, even on court orders, you can go ahead and do, you can go to court, via the internet, and so it's kind of becoming this whole new thing to get used to. Well, apparently in this situation, I think someone got a little too casual in this situation. Apparently, a medical board said that they were investigating a plastic surgeon who appeared in a video conference for his traffic violation trial while operating on a patient.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So like a nurse is like holding up his phone while he That's insane.
That is insane.
That's right up there with the dentist that extracted teeth while he
on
was
the
on the
hoverboard.
hoverboard.
On the hoverboard, yes. Yeah, and you got that on Stupid News as well.
Yes. You heard it here first.
That's right. So Dr. Scott Green, he appeared Thursday for his Sacramento Superior Court trial, held virtually, of course, because of the pandemic. He was in his operating room. He was dressed in surgical scrubs with a patient undergoing a procedure just out of view, so you didn't see the patient, but you could hear the beeps of the medical machinery. It could be heard in the background during the trial. This is from the county courtroom clerk says, "Hello, Mr. Green. Are you available for this trial? Looks like you're in the middle of doing an operation now, right?" He says, "Yes, I am, sir." Green replied. He says, "Yes, I'm in an operating room right now. I'm available for trial. Go ahead," he says. The clerk, it's like it's nothing. It's like it's nothing. No big deal. No big deal. I'm just digging into this guy. I have my focus on you. The clerk reminded...
This is a nose job. It's no big deal.
No big deal. No big deal. So the clerk reminded Green that the proceedings were being live streamed because of his traffic trials, which is required by law to do in public. He continued working with his
head... There's a HIPAA violation somewhere in this.
You would think so. But Dr. Green continued working with his head down while waiting for the court commissioner, Gary Link, to enter the chamber. Now, when Link appeared and saw the doctor on the screen, the judge hesitated to proceed with the trial out of concern for the welfare of the patient. You think?
Imagine that.
Imagine that. So when Link... basically, and Dr. Green says, "I have another surgeon right here who's doing the surgery with me, so I can stand here and allow him to do the surgery also," said Green. And the judge said he didn't think it was appropriate to conduct the trial under the circumstances. He told Green he'd rather set a new date for the trial when you're actively involved or participating in attending to the needs of the patient when you're not. Green apologized, and Green happened to say, "It happens. It happens. You know, we want to keep people healthy. We want to keep people alive. That's important," Link said to the judge. Apparently, the board said it would look into the incident and see some of the look over it in front of the medical board. Yes. So, wouldn't you like to be the guy under the knife with this guy while he's focusing on you as well on a trial for a traffic violation?
Oh,
that's
not good.
That is not good at all.
What else you got?
Speaking of more stuff, this is interesting. Here we go. Apparently, police are on the lookout for this man here.
Wait, where?
Right there next to the palm tree and next to the pole.
What, that trash bag?
Yes. Yes, a man wearing goggles and a trash bag suit was caught on camera breaking into a waste management center and setting several...
Wait. He broke into a waste management center?
Yes.
What is he going to steal? Trash?
Apparently he's there to set trucks on fire.
Oh my goodness.
As you can tell, the right of the screen, that's him going by several of the garbage trucks over here. Apparently,
he's just like hopping down the sidewalk in the trash bags.
Apparently, that's what he's doing. It's a surveillance videos released Friday by Broward County Sheriff. And yes, Todd, that is in Florida. Shows the man breaking into a Waste Pro facility shortly after 2 a.m. Sunday. The man
Jason asked if it's Todd BC.
After the comment we made last time, I'm not going to say anything else. Yes.
Sorry.
Inside joke. So sorry. Oh man, this is
You'll have to
getting
go
worse.
back. You'll have to go back and watch previous episodes to get that. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Anyway, so
I'm okay
anyway.
now.
So he sets it on fire from a distance. As you can see, these are in the background is basically the garbage trucks, and
my
of course,
goodness.
he is trying to escape the scene, going the other direction. As you can see right here, right now he's still at large. Police are asking for people to please call if they see a walking garbage bag in their area. The garbage man is still at large. So. Woo, that's something else. You think it couldn't get any better than that? Well, my next story, I tell you what, sometimes goodness. I enjoy something with my chips, a little salsa, a little cheese. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I want something a little spicy. Well, apparently a Californian stuntman spent 24 hours, get this, 24 hours sitting in a pool of bean dip. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He was sitting in 24 hours in bean dip. I hope that was bean dip.
Why is he in bean dip?
Apparently he's promoting a Los Angeles area restaurant that has suffered losses because of the pandemic. This is his way to contribute, sitting in a small swimming pool, inflated pool of bean dip. Yes, as you can tell. There he is, enjoying himself in the bean dip. Apparently,
where is he? What state is he in? Did you say?
Oh, he's in Los Angeles, California. Which I'm not surprised.
I thought I saw the California flag on his hat there for just a brief moment.
Apparently, Hunter Ray Barker.
I didn't know there were rednecks in California.
Yeah, they travel from anyway. So anyhow, Hunter Ray Parker said he climbed into the waiting pool filled with bean dip and lost it at the Los Toros Mexican restaurant about 3 p.m. Monday because he wanted to support restaurants that have been hit because of the pandemic. Baker for 24 hours was in the pool with a block party at the eatery. Apparently he spent 24 hours in there, and that was his contribution to help the restaurants during these trying times.
Todd Vesey wants to know if he double dipped.
Or he didn't make it in time to the bathroom. Anyhow, that was bad.
You had to go there.
And one more thing, let's get to this one. Apparently in Florida, there is a outright violence from a street gang. Apparently iguanas are forming a street gang in the next phase of their South Florida takeover.
Iguanas?
Yes.
An iguana street gang.
Yes.
Little iguanas.
Yes, iguanas. Apparently a bandana... Yes, he doesn't have a bandana because they can't find him yet. But anyhow, apparently a bandana-wearing iguana reportedly jumped over a home's fence and attacked a man in Miami recently. Then a woman wearing a medical scrub came looking for it. Apparently a Miami-raised journalist, Costello, who now works for the U.S. content for producers for the Manchester City Football Club, tweeted this: Iguana run-ins aren't a strange thing in South Florida. They normally run away from the humans, but the weird part is that this animal was wearing a red bandana, like a neck handkerchief, attacked the woman. The story is like this nature that's a very small part of me. He said
it's red bandana, so that makes him a blood, right?
Something like that. Yes. Apparently they have not caught this. Apparently they haven't caught the iguana on the loose. They said at least he's wearing a face covering, but he's not following social distancing guidelines. So anyway,
I bet when they catch him, they're going to catch him green-handed.
Oh my. That's the end of stupid news.
This has been the Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Danger everywhere. Danger everywhere.
Daryl McCarty wants to know if Todd Vesey got attacked by the lizard. Man, crazy stuff, man.
Crazy stuff.
So we have a guest. Shall we bring him on?
Let's please bring him on.
All right. We want to welcome Mr.
Hello.
Nate, Mr. Nate Jesse to
Hey,
our
Nate
show.
Jesse. Hey.
Nate is the co-host of Tatooine Sons, previously a Star Wars podcast. And they've been doing their show, what, Nate, for about 3.5 years now?
I think it's pretty close to 3.5 years. Yes.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And you guys kind of got a little famous really quick, didn't you?
It happened really fast.
Tell us a little bit about this. So, we have promoted the show as we have someone on the show who got to name a Star Wars character. Now, does that really what happened?
Yes, surprisingly enough. I was at a IMAX headquarters screening thing, and funny enough, we got invited to it, which was already insane, because there was a Q&A with Ryan Johnson afterwards. It was so insane. I was so excited. But we were like, okay, what if we can ask some questions? And so my brother and I were coming up with some questions beforehand. And we were like, how about, since I was huge into Porg, because we've already seen The Last Jedi before this 10 times in theaters. Such a good movie.
Wow.
And that was when MoviePass was still MoviePass, and, it was good. So we were like, what about the name of the Porg on the Millennium Falcon? Let's ask him that. He has to have like a behind-the-scenes set name, because that's cool. We'll know that.
So you're talking about the Porg on the Millennium Falcon. So we're talking
Yes, sir.
about this little guy right here.
Yes, sir. That little thing.
Sir, he's so formal.
I know it.
He's so formal.
Especially for this show. Now, we're not actually talking about this one, are we?
I don't. Don't think so.
Don't think so. Okay.
I think it's the wrong character.
Oh, I think there's a Porg to the. Okay, yeah. Never mind. Let's get off of that.
So I'm sorry. Continue the story.
So, we got back home and we're like, what if he asked us what the name is? And we're like, oh, I don't know. That won't happen. But he's like, for fun, let's figure out a name. And so we were brainstorming for a while, and we're like, McFluffy Pants? And we're like, that doesn't work. And we're like, what about our dog? We're like, we won't name him Buster, because that's already our dog's name. And we're like, how about we like just reverse it? And we're like, Rustub? That doesn't sound like a Star Wars name. And we're like, how about we just flip the syllables? We're like, Terbus. And we're like, that works really well. And so we're like, if he asks us the name, we'll say Terbus. And so we get there and we get in. We finish watching the movie in this giant IMAX headquarters screen. It was so cool. And we finish and they start the Q&A. And my dad was actually the first one to ask his question. It was, did Chewie really eat the Porg after after the shot cut? And Ryan said no.
Yes.
Ryan said,
whatever.
He did not. He felt
Liar.
bad.
Liar.
And so, me being me, I really hate asking questions, especially when there's 150 other people in the theater, and this guy's big. He's a director of the
Ryan
movie
Johnson, the
really
director
love.
of the movie, sitting on the stage.
And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't know if I feel kind of qualified to ask this question or any question. And so we're sitting here, it's like an hour and a half later, and I'm like, I'm not going to ask the question. I'm not going to. And so they're like, okay, well, we're going to do two or three more questions and then go outside for signings. And Sammy's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm not going to do it. And then they're like, okay, we're doing the two last questions. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ask. So I shoot my hand up before I even tell them I'm asking a question. And they pick me right away. And I'm like, oh, no, this is happening. I didn't mean for that to happen. I didn't think they would. And so I'm like, in my 12-year-old high voice, it's dropped a lot. I was like, what's the name of the Porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Wait, in a high voice. You have to do it in a high voice.
Okay. I don't know if I can go that high anymore. What's the name of the Porg on Millennium Falcon? That was actually really accurate.
That's really good. I like that.
He was, so he was like, I don't know. What do you think his name is? And if you watch it, or if you were there, you could see this little paused in his face. He was like, I shouldn't have said that. He's like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. And so I'm like, maybe Terbus. And he's like, Pablo, if you're watching this. And I always
who's
love
Pablo?
Pablo Hidalgo, the kind of the keeper of the canon. He's the main person for the Star Wars story group, and he makes everything canon and stays up with what's the continuity and everything. And so he's very important. I don't know if he was watching the live stream. I'm not sure if he was, but he was like, Pablo. And I love listening to that part every time during our intro because you can hear this little tremor in his voice. He's like, I shouldn't do this. He's like, I should not do this. And he's like, if you're watching this live stream, that Porg's name is now Terbus. And then after, everybody just starts clapping. And I'm, of course, embarrassed as could be. And he's like, that's a good Star Wars name. And that was just so awesome.
It was awesome.
Surreal. And then they had one more question and they went to signing. And this part's not really told very often. And so we were waiting in this super long line to get a signing. We had, I think, the Last Jedi posters from Celebration for him to sign. And it was maybe 10:30, 11 at night, and we had another hour to go to drive from that place because it was in Los Angeles, and we were kind of in between San Diego and Los Angeles, so we were sitting there and we're waiting, and it's not really moving because people are just wanting to talk to him and give him things and be like, I loved your movie and all that stuff. And so we have somebody come up to us and they're like, hey, Ryan wanted us to get you up front just so you can sign, so we know you probably have school tomorrow. So we're wondering if you want to come up front and get the signing so you can head out quicker.
And you said, nah, we'll wait.
We did. We wanted to we wanted to wait with all the other people. We wanted to just stay there, and we wanted to kind of embrace everything that was going on. And it was really fun because we get to talk with other people and other Star Wars fans. And then like 30 minutes later, we move up a little bit, and they have another person come ask us, so you want to go up front? Ryan wants to get you up front and all that stuff. I'm like, no, we're good. We'll stay. We're fine. We're already happy with where we're at.
And you guys are so nice.
We get up to the front.
Mike and I would totally just
we would push the children out of the way.
If you're behind me, you'd be like, yeah, I'll take that offer.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But we got up to the front and we had him sign the stuff, and we were there for a good solid just 15 minutes just talking with him. And he opened up, somebody else made a fan comic of The Last Jedi. And he opened it up and he found a page, a blank page. And he's like, what's that name again? How would you spell it? And so he wrote that down. And he's like, okay, I'll send an email to Pablo to see if this works out. And that was just so cool. And we, through the way home, we were just in shock. I think more than anything, just like that happened. It's so surreal to think. And then, of course, we had a make Terbus canon thing going on for a couple years. And we knew Matt Martin from a meetup for podcasts. And he's a super nice guy. And he let us tour Lucasfilm and all that stuff. And we are sitting here. And we're like, okay, it was just a normal day. And he's like, you might want to keep an eye out for Star Wars Adventures 27. And we're like, why? And he's like, that's all I'm going to say. And so we were freaking out.
So for those people who don't know, Star Wars Adventure 27, that's a 27th issue of a comic book called Star Wars Adventures.
It is. We were like really excited because we didn't know really what it was. I mean, we didn't read Star Wars Adventures. We didn't read very many Star Wars comics. And so we were just so excited that it might be a possibility that Terbus is actually made canon in the Star Wars universe. And a few months later, Star Wars releases the press release for Star Wars Adventures issues 27. And they have in there, and this is still surreal, Chewie and Terbus. And that was just the most insane thing to see that. And we actually didn't learn about it until somebody messaged my dad about it, because we were just doing our thing. I was doing school, my dad was at work, we were just doing our normal day, and somebody messaged my dad. They're like, did you see this? And we looked at it and we were just over the moon excited. We, of course, picked up the comic. We picked up the whole arc of the comic, and it was so cool. We loved it.
It's like 3 issues, isn't it?
It is. I have the first issue right here.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
Cool. I love it. It's so awesome. And it's still surreal. And it hasn't been mentioned in anything else, but that's fine. It's fine. We got something. It's all okay. That's all I wanted. And so that's the brief history of Terbus and Porg.
I'm surprised they did not make a ton of toys. I mean, that would have been a brilliant thing, marketing idea, like to do with the old baby Yoda.
Absolutely.
Hey, anyway.
We've got a Porg with a name. He should be a toy.
Yeah, great name. Great name.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Buy them at McDonald's.
So now you guys have been doing this Star Wars podcast for a few years now.
We have.
And you have kind of a philosophy you go by on Star Wars, right? What is it? There's
It's like the bigger story.
Well, like you say, is it that all Star Wars is good, or there's no bad Star Wars?
All Star Wars is good Star Wars. There is no Star Wars that we don't enjoy, and I don't think that'll ever happen. There's always a Star Wars that we love. So, I mean, I don't think we've watched or played or read anything that we have not enjoyed. So, yeah, all Star Wars is good Star Wars.
What is this? Oh, Jason Hamilton, whenever someone uses the M word, God kills an Ewok.
Anyway, I just had to throw that one in. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so we have a thing on the show. We try desperately not to talk about the M word, and inevitably I end up talking about the M word.
It's just a joke we have.
So if you don't know what the M word is,
I don't, and I don't want you to say it because I don't
Yeah,
want
episode 1, the M word.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
The Phantom.
Yes, the Phantom Menace.
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
No,
it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's good.
It just they just have those things that shouldn't exist.
But we'll leave it there. We
discussed this last week.
And we even promised that we wouldn't bring it up, but that anyway.
Oh my goodness! But we hear you have a special appreciation for one particular area of Star Wars.
The animation, specifically Star Wars Rebels, is the whole. All three of us. That's our thing. That's what got us into Star Wars. Really into Star Wars. It's insane. I love that show so much. I don't think I could ever get tired of watching that show.
I just finished watching it last night.
Jason Hamilton, he said talking about the episode 1. Says he loves the movie, but just not the chlorine.
Yeah,
that's how he gets around it. It's
a good way to get around it.
Jason's cheating.
Yes,
so
he is.
Mike, you're a huge Rebels fan too, right?
I love the animated series that they've done from Clone Wars to Rebels. For me personally, man, they add so much to the canon and how they weave it in, and to me, it affects what Disney is doing with Disney Plus, like The Mandalorian. There's so much connection there. And in setting up for what might happen next in Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Commander Rex, no longer Captain Rex, Hera from the Rebels. So I love it. I guess you can tell that I also love the series. And
you both know so much more about it than I ever will.
And basically, if anyone out there don't know, this is the Rebel series, and Nate, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It actually happens. That's not a very good size, but it happens basically between Clone Wars and after Clone Wars and right before A New Hope. But in the ending, it also talks about a little bit about the Battle of Endor. And so it actually kind of goes past that as well.
there's like a little epilogue, right?
It is.
Where
Yeah.
it skips
It's called the
ahead a
epilogue.
few years.
Epilogue,
It is.
yeah.
It's
Awesome.
It's
Awesome.
Love that
What
series.
what about this series, Nate, that I don't know grabbed you? What was it?
I think it was just more the. It was more the personal connection because
Yeah.
I lived in Colorado. My brother and I lived in Colorado. My dad was in California. He was working up there, and we were about to move. But there was like a month or two period where we didn't see each other, and so we decided, oh, let's just watch the first season of Rebels. And so we started. This was actually way before we moved to California, and we were really confused because Maul was alive, and we did not watch a single thing of Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
So confused.
Yeah, exactly.
So we went back and watched all 6 seasons of Clone Wars. We had a full day where we got through 2 seasons. That was a lot. That was
my.
very
That
hard.
is a lot.
And so we finished it, and then
That's some dedication there.
That is
it was so
dedication.
hard staying awake and like keeping your attention to it. So we finished season 1 of Rebels, which we were like, it's good. It's not fantastic, but we'll give the second season a try.
Yeah.
And so he was in California and we were in Colorado. And so every week we would try to watch it at the same time. And then afterwards call each other and see what we thought. And season 2 was just so good. And it's
Yes.
kind of what kept us connected through the times
Yeah.
of that couple months. And so we watched season 3 when we were there. And we, of course, had the Twin Sons episode. And
Oh, that's
is our
awesome.
favorite episode of the series.
That is awesome.
It's
Hold on just a
such a
minute on
good
this one.
series.
Hold on just a minute. Right there.
Such a good episode. So
Great
good.
episode. Great episode. And I love there's a shot, and I don't have it, where you see Luke's hut from a distance, their home in a distance, and you can hear his aunt saying, Luke, Luke, and you see a shadow of Luke Skywalker running to it. It's, yeah, great scene. Great scene.
I love that episode. We've seen it so many times. So many. And so I forgot about this. We interviewed Steven Stanton, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Wow.
For our 50th episode. That was so surreal. I messed up a question and I got really flustered on the interview. I was like, I messed it up. I
Wow.
messed up the whole interview. I didn't. It was fantastic. It was like an hour and a half long interview. Glorious hour and a half. Such a nice guy. I love his work. I'm excited for Monsters at Work
Yeah.
and his voices in that. But we finished that episode and we're like, this series is awesome. Well, we kind of figured that out after Twilight Apprentice. Those episodes were fantastic.
Yeah.
Then after Twin Sons, we're like, this series is, in our opinion, miles ahead of Clone Wars. We thought that the story was actually linear, chronological. You didn't have to jump around through episodes to be able to
Yeah, exactly.
get the full
Yeah.
arcs. And it had a much heavier impact because we didn't know what happened to these characters in the other movies. We knew what happened with Anakin. We knew what happened with Obi-Wan. So it was kind of just like, while the stories are great, we know it happens. So what's the point of finishing the series? Then that's what most people could think. And so with this, we had no idea who these people were, and we had no idea where they ended up. And then we get to the final season, which, while Twin Sons is my favorite episode, the 4th season is my favorite season. It's so good. I love the finale. I've seen the finale many times, more than I've watched the full series. But, I mean, the finale gets me every time. It's so sad, but it's so good.
Yes, it is.
I just watched the finale today just so that I would have something to talk about on this show.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just have, as brilliant as your conversation is right now, I just have to say, space whales.
Okay, well, you actually have to watch
No,
the,
I knew that was going to come up. I knew that was going to come up. Sorry. Okay. Sorry about
Mike,
that.
Mike and I have this argument about
Okay.
Star Trek Episode 4,
Yeah.
where there are space whales,
whales.
and then I'm watching the finale of Rebels
And you're
today
like,
for this
space
show,
whales.
and I'm like,
I knew it.
Space whales.
I knew it.
Really?
So
I was
we
waiting for
had
that to happen.
We had that same problem in season 2, I think is when it was. They had a whole episode about these space whales, and we're like, what does this have to do with the series? We're like, this is just Star Trek 4 again. We're like, what's going on? And so we're like, okay, well, at least they actually have a name. They're called Purgles, and they can go into hyperspace. That's cool. And then we get to the finale, and the Purgles are back. And we're like, okay, they had more to do with the series than we actually thought. And if you watch the whole series, you can tell that creatures are a big part of Ezra's storyline.
Yeah, it is.
Animals are really big, and his force,
Yeah.
that's his... Every Jedi has kind of a force gift, especially with the High Republic coming out. And I think that connecting with animals is definitely Ezra's force gift or power.
Daryl McCarty says that he needs a live action Ezra.
Me too. I need something. Just anything.
Yeah. Well, now, do you think, now, of course, in the ending, you know, Sabine and Ahsoka actually comes, and you realize Ahsoka, well, anyway, Ezra saves Ahsoka, brings her out into the temple for the portal, and then she has to go back. But anyway, at the very end, Sabine and Ahsoka actually goes and try to find Ezra in the very last, and so that makes me believe, do you think they might bring to Mandalorian? They may bring him because they had Ahsoka there.
I think that if they have Ezra and or Thrawn in any series, it would be the Ahsoka series. Specifically, if you look at the logo, the map behind it looks a lot like the map of the world between worlds. And so that is what makes me think that it has to do a lot with Ezra and Thrawn. And that makes me really excited because it's been almost 4 years since Rebels has ended. And that's been really sad because I love that series so much. And it's been such a big part of my Star Wars fandom. And so I've been here and I'm like, okay, we got Clone Wars Season 7. Why? We needed something for Rebels. And then we had a Bad Batch announcement. And I'm like, again, why? Clone Wars Season 7 just ended. We need something Rebels. And then they announced Ahsoka. And I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. I can get behind Ahsoka because I love the character of Ahsoka, especially in Rebels.
Okay, so clarify something for me, everyone, because I get lost in this timeline, especially when we go into some of the broader areas. So, at the end of Rebels, we see Ezra and Thrawn both, flying off into outer space. Now, we also have this Thrawn book series that came out very recently.
Yes.
Now, is that before this or is that after this? Do you guys know?
I do. It's before all of Rebels.
So it's before. So the fact that Ahsoka is asking where Thrawn is really does open the door for Ezra to show up. Because the last time in canon we see Thrawn, he's with Ezra.
Exactly. And we learned that Thrawn doesn't have an allegiance to the Rebels or the Empire. He has the allegiance to whatever helps the Chiss. We learned that in the recent Thrawn books. And so if the Empire is, or what was the Empire, is no longer helpful to Thrawn, Ezra and him might team up to help the rebellion. I would love to see that. That would be great. So awesome.
That would be great. What do you think about, I know that I think it was Last Command, there was 2 other books that are no longer canon. How do you feel about sometimes them taking books that are really good? And,
you're talking about the Thrawn series, the early Thrawn series?
Yeah, let me
the Heir to the Empire.
Heir to the Empire, yeah. So, look at my books over here. But, Heir of the... Yeah, so, I mean, when they take something like that, it once part of canon, and they kind of toss it to the side. What's your feel about that?
I think that what happened was Disney bought out Lucasfilm, of course, and they wanted to tell their own stories. Yeah. And Legends had problems with continuity. Some things overlapped with each other and just didn't make sense. So getting rid of all the other books, except for, I think, one book. I'm not sure which one. I think it was Dawn of the Jedi was the one book that they kept, if I'm not mistaken. and just letting everything else go the way it wanted to, and it
Gotcha.
allows people to have more creative freedom and not worry about fitting into the Legends already problematic continuity and
makes
canon.
sense. Yeah.
And so, of course, the first book I read in the Star Wars canon was Ahsoka. I really loved that book. Then I read the Guardians of the Wills young readers, Chirrut and Bay's book, which was also, it was great to learn the backstories of the Wills and the Jedi and the Sith. You actually saw all of the Jedi and Sith codes throughout the book, and the Gray Jedi code, which was really cool to see that exists in Star Wars canon now.
And Wills was something that Lucas was talking about in early drafts of A New Hope, and that just simply never made it into the stories.
Yes, and so it's exciting seeing it, of course, in Rogue One, which is the prequel to 4, and just seeing it in general, seeing it come to light, and just the fact that there's a bigger story and a bigger legend to the Jedi and the Force. And I've always loved learning the codes and everything, and how, prequel Jedi the Jedi Council didn't really follow those codes very well. I've never read the Darth Plagueis book, actually.
Yeah, Daryl McCarty says the Darth Plagueis books needs to become canon. I haven't read them either.
No, I haven't either. I do have a question. I like this particular film, Rogue One. How do you feel about Rogue One and how it fits?
I really enjoy Rogue One.
Yeah.
I feel like it fits very well. I like how it goes immediately into New Hope. But I'm gonna say something that's probably not a popular opinion.
No, it's not.
I just enjoy Solo. I enjoy Solo so much more. I think Rogue One's a little bit too heavy.
Yeah.
And I have bad memories.
It is
of Rogue
very
One.
heavy.
Oh, it's very heavy. Yeah.
We were in our second showing for Rogue One. While we were in it, my dad got news that Carrie Fisher passed away, and so that made the whole Rogue One have a little bit of dimming in my eyes. But I love Solo so much. Solo is such a good movie, and I prefer it over Rogue One. But I still enjoy Rogue One. I can still watch Rogue One any day. So.
Yeah, I definitely, I don't know that I would say I like Solo better than Rogue One, but I like Solo more than most people probably. I think it's just a fun, it's just a fun romp. What Mike and I just did a show last week. It was basically the idea that we talked about bad ideas that showed up in good movies. Solo is a good movie with a lot of little bad ideas that showed up.
Yeah.
I think that, and yes, there are a lot of just tiny little things that are like, okay, but I love
You didn't need to tell us that.
Yeah.
You didn't need to explain that. There's no reason.
No reason at all. But I love the whole heist stuff. I love heist movies. And so seeing that in Star Wars was awesome.
That was good.
I think that most people just didn't. I think there's just most people didn't watch the movie because they were kind of just angry at Disney at that point. I mean, Last Jedi just came out, and then after Last Jedi, fandom divided a lot.
Yeah.
We had Rogue One and Force Awakens, and people were like, Force Awakens was okay, and then Rogue One was like, everybody was like, such a good movie. And Last Jedi came out, and it's never been the same again. We've never had a connected and unified fandom for a long time. Almost, it's sad. But I've seen people, even to this day, say, I just watched Solo for the first time. I don't know why I didn't watch it before. It's such a good movie. And
it is a good movie.
I don't know. It was...
Now right now, they are working on a new trilogy of Star Wars. You have any thoughts about that, where they might take that?
I don't really know. It's just so many things are kept under wraps right now for anything Star Wars. I mean, we had Bad Batch, and we're like, that's really it. We got the Lando series coming, which I'm excited about. That's going to be fun.
I'm still concerned how fast they got the Bad Batch out.
Yeah.
They announced it in December, and it's going to launch May 4th.
Well, they announced a bunch of stuff. I mean, it was like all of a sudden on that whole week, we're going, wow. I'm like, okay. Rogue Squadron, okay. Bad Batch, okay. Republic Rangers. I mean... Wow.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
It was a lot of stuff. a lot of stuff.
Blew
the
my
Acolyte,
mind.
which the Acolyte
Yes.
looks,
Yes,
Yeah.
that looks really good.
Yeah.
but of course the Lando series just seems like so much fun. I love Lando and Solo, so seeing young
Yep.
Lando again is going to be a lot of fun seeing that. So
The actor who
just-
played him, Donald.
Donald Glover did
no-
amazing.
yes, he did an awesome job.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope they bring him back for the Lando series, and if they don't, they had better find somebody really
Close.
good.
Really good.
If
yeah.
they don't get somebody really good, it's going to flop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's worrying.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little worrying. A lot of the things that are coming up, it's really going to come down to casting. You know, Rogue Squadron, it's going to be casting. You know, it's a Star Wars movie based on a video game.
I'm not
video
sure if it's-
game movies don't do well.
I'm not sure
in
if it's
general.
quite based off of a video game. They kind of said it was going to be this own story, more based off
Yeah.
of the books than the video game. But the video game,
Well-
the books were based off of the video game, so
Yeah.
then it's kind of a video game movie if you trace it back. But
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
they could do a good job of it. It depends on the casting, but I'm wondering what period. You know, is it because
Yeah.
for the longest time in some of the books,
Are we
Wedge
gonna
and
see
Tilly's Wedge and Tilly's
Yep.
took over as the leader in that, and this is where I geek out. And I know it's the weirdest thing when we watched the very last was the rise of Skywalker. Is that I was so. I mean, I had goosebumps when I saw Wedge in the Millennium Falcon, and the only line,
Yeah.
the only line he says, "Let's get him, Lando," and that's it. But to me, it was like, oh, I loved how they brought these small characters back. And to me, that made the film for me.
Rise of Skywalker, I really enjoy Rise of Skywalker. I felt like there was more stuff they could have done
Oh, yeah.
that would have
Yeah.
made it better.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. I think the novel apparently was very good and
Yeah.
introduced, and it had some of the rebels in it, Hera and all that stuff, and some of the resistance members
Exactly,
and everything.
yeah.
And that was it was not a missed opportunity. Just I felt like it could have had more, but I still love it. It's still a great Star Wars movie.
My question on that trilogy: do you feel like they should have stretched it a little bit, made it more organic in the relationships? Do you feel like they were kind of like squished together?
I think that just the whole trilogy itself, I'm not going to say it was unnecessary. I don't think it was. I enjoyed that they made it, and I think that the timeline that they set it in was good.
Yeah.
But I don't understand what it has to do with the bigger story. I don't know what it has to do with the rest of the lore. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the time jump between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker fell off. We had no time jump between Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Picked up immediately after.
Yeah.
And then we have this 2-year jump between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and it felt a little off. But
Yeah.
and we have really no stories in between that. And
Yeah.
in that gap, we don't know how Rey grew or what Finn and Poe were really doing, and it's kind of just a little bit confusing. Felt like they could have done more with that little gap of time, but I think that it was still a great movie, and I enjoyed it immensely. So
You got some, Ricky?
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, you know, this was we talked about this earlier, and I didn't know it was confirmed. And I'm a big Rex fan from the Clone Wars, and I loved how they brought him back in the Republic. And you know, if you remember the end of the Clone Wars, you know, Rex was one of the few clones that were able to resist Order 66 because of the chip. And so I really loved the very last, I think the last episode of season 7, where it was focusing on Ahsoka, Tano, and Rex, and you can kind of hear some of the things that happened in the past. David Jesse, Rogue Squadron probably takes place post. I can't read that
Episode 9.
Episode 9. Episode 9.
That would be an interesting time to do it.
That would be,
you'd be able to cast a whole new set of people that you haven't run into before. So you could start a whole new set of characters.
and you can still have Wedge as a leader, which would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
There'd be a lot of fun in that. Yeah, I think this was a touching scene. I really liked it in Republic. Was this scene right here? Gregor.
That scene hurts so much.
So much, and one of my my favorite things was he said something in it, and I'm going to keep this up, but let's see here. I had this down, and I wanted to read this because I thought, what a great. This was a quote. Gregor adds that it was an honor to fight with you, Rex, for something that they chose to believe in. And I thought, boy, that spoke volumes to me, because they really didn't have a choice prior. And so I thought that was like really awesome how they carried that into the Republic, and they gave these 3 clones a second chance to do something that they believed in.
The writing in Rebels is just so good. It
is
excellent.
And there's an extra little Easter egg for Rex, right?
Yes,
a tiny one.
Yeah, this right here for me.
Yeah.
And it was funny when I saw that. And here's kind of a better thing here. That's what got me was they actually had him close in that uniform.
They did,
and so it didn't dawn on me. And then I remember this from Return of the Jedi, and I don't remember this part of Return of the Jedi, but I'm thinking, yes, I remember this guy. Was this? I mean, Return of the Jedi happened, way before any of these series. But is it? Did they make this canon now? Was there not a connection, and now they're making a connection, or was that all? Was it intentional?
it kind of feels like Dave Filoni made the connection himself. He was like, well, there's this guy with a white beard in Return of the Jedi. Let's
Awesome.
just make that Rex.
He almost knows too
Brilliant.
much about Star Wars.
It's true. I will always say that he is the second George Lucas.
Yes, he is.
Oh, yeah.
He knows
Filoni
so
is
much
amazing.
about Star Wars, and
Yes.
his storytelling is fantastic. You can never go wrong with his storytelling.
No, he is awesome.
But it is it's very much. I am pretty sure, like 96% sure that it was confirmed for it being Rex, which is really cool because when I first saw that comparison, I'm like, wow, that actually seems a lot like Rex. And then I heard it was confirmed, and I'm like, wow, that is Rex. And he made it all the way to Return of the Jedi, which is surprising. But it's really cool to see characters from Clone Wars and Rebels making it into live action, like Darth Maul and Solo, like somebody mentioned. It's really cool to see all of that happening. And of course, I'm really excited that we're getting characters from Rebels put into live action, because that means that we can carry on with the story of Rebels, which
I think so. That'd
we
be
need.
great. Yeah. I like what David Jesse said. It's a retcon for sure. And definitely, I think Dave Filoni, knowing that, and I mean, this guy is like, I agree, he's like the second George Lucas. I mean, he's the reason that I think he's the success of Star Wars. If anybody should be given the helm of it, this should be that man. But yeah. And
I will say that Dave Filoni has better writing than George Lucas.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yes, he does.
Now,
Yes, he does.
you guys, you're one of the co-hosts of Tatooine Sons. Now, it's your dad and your brother and
Yes, sir.
you, correct? And now I heard recently, I've been talking to your dad for a while, and you guys are branching out. You're no longer Tatooine Sons, a Star Wars podcast.
No, we are now turning into Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. We're turning into everything. It's allowing us to be able to talk about things that we love to talk about and probably spend way too much time talking about in banter other than Star Wars on a Star Wars podcast. So we're excited to have specific areas of that. It allows Sammy and I to have our own sections to talk about what we want to talk about, and allow to have Dad feel what it was like for 3.5 years for us. Be one of the people getting the questions asked to him. So,
Awesome.
Dad, we're tired of talking about Star Wars. You're an old man.
but it's really exciting to be able to do Marvel, especially with all the stuff from Marvel coming out this year. It's exciting, and
Yeah.
of course, DC, and we are going to talk about Lord of the Rings probably for a little bit of that, especially when the Amazon series comes out, whenever they decide to release that. Stranger Things is going to be a part of that too, and it's just really exciting to be able to talk about what we love instead of just Star Wars, because we don't just love Star Wars. So
I do have a question. Do you know anything about a Snyder Cut?
a little bit, not too terribly much though. I've heard of the name.
Heard of the name?
I think I've seen the original thing. I didn't think he did a good job.
No.
But no, I do know a lot about it. Probably
Daryl McCarty. Before we go on, Daryl McCarty says that my children have failed me. They haven't started a podcast.
Well, that was just our segue to that, and that was my segue to DC and the snack.
But
Zack
you are
Snyder,
a huge
yeah.
DC fan, right?
A huge one, probably
Awesome.
a little too big. At some points, I have way too many comics. Read too many comics. I've read more comics than I have now, just from the library, because I didn't want to spend that much money on buying the comics. But I have huge ones. These are like my prized possessions. They're 1,700 big comics of the full series. I love reading them every now and then, but they take a long time. They take a good solid 2 weeks to fully read through. But they're really fun, and I love the storytelling. I will always say that. I've picked up.
You need to convince your dad to invest in DC Infinite.
Funny thing about that is I used to have the original DC universe, the one that had the movies and the comics.
Oh yeah.
And I'm an old soul. I can't do digital comics. I don't know why. I really can't. I have to have that physical hard paper in my hands to be able to read it. It's probably really strange because my grandpa only reads on his Kindle. And I refuse to read on any digital devices because I can't focus as well, and I just don't have the same feeling of a book on my phone as I do in my hand and the real paper. And I've collected a couple comics. I have two prized possessions. I have the last issue of Night Quest for Detective Comics, foil variant, original 98 issue, first edition, mint. I love that thing. And it was $3 because somebody didn't know its value, which is great. I had another comic that was the first of a separate storyline, Dark Knight of the Round Table, which is also mint foil, also from the 80s. And I have those two in a special spot where I've read up on how to keep them in good condition, and I've made sure that all of those conditions are correct and all that stuff, and I only break them out at certain points if I really want to show people them. But it's
Yeah. I still have two long boxes.
Oh wow.
I've got crates somewhere in the hallway, and I need to get them out. So, yeah, DC. It's mainly all DC. And then when Marvel started doing the Star Wars series, so yeah.
So Mike is a huge DC fan. I am the Marvel fan.
Hey,
So
Marvel's great too.
Yeah, I love Marvel.
Yeah, I did most of my Marvel reading in the 70s and 80s.
That's when it was good. Now I've read a few of them. I'm like, the storytelling's not that fantastic.
Daryl McCarty said he stole Star Wars #1 from you, Mike.
I figure. I was wondering what happened to it in that hotel room.
I don't want to know about the hotel room. Let's not go there.
Actually, I had a #1 of G.I. Joe, and I remember going to Six Flags, and when I came back, I couldn't find it, and I think housekeeping thought it was trash, and they threw it away. Made me really sad.
That hurts.
True story.
So
Yes.
bad.
True story. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Never
Well,
went to Six
shall we-
Flags again. But go ahead.
Well, before we wrap up the show, shall we throw a little love on the Zack Snyder's Justice
do it.
League?
Let's do it.
Going to be released on HBO Max March 18th. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I believe it's the 18th.
Yes, it is the
the day
18th.
before Falcon and Winter Soldier, so that's gonna be a superhero-filled weekend.
Yeah.
Yes, and the announcement was that they were originally going to release it as a 4-episode miniseries, and that is not happening. That they are only going to release it as one 4-hour film.
the official runtime, including the 10-minute built-in intermission, which is very nice to have, and the 12-minute credits, is 4 hours and 22 minutes. That's
That
awesome.
is
And
insane.
it's also exciting because this is just setting records all over the place, so might as well throw in another one. The soundtrack will be the longest soundtrack for a film ever recorded, coming in at 4 hours long with 54 tracks, which is exciting.
Crazy.
And so that is long.
I am really looking forward to this. I thought the first I didn't hate it the first time. A lot of people threw a lot of hate on this movie when it first came out. I definitely thought it definitely had some issues, but overall I thought it was enjoyable. The big issues I had with it were I didn't get enough backstory for Cyborg or for the Flash.
You'll be getting a lot of that in this.
Josh Whedon. Anyway.
Yes.
Never. Anyway.
But tons and tons of old footage brought back and a lot of new footage. And we're putting characters into the movie that never were in it or at least hit the cutting room floor. So we're going to see more Jared Leto Joker in this film. Yeah. And he looks a little bit different than he did in the previous films.
He's a lot different in this movie. Zack Snyder came out and he's like, he's going to be a completely different character. He's going to be totally different than what he was in Suicide Squad, which I can't rip on the Suicide Squad Joker too much because I don't have enough to judge him on. He was in 2 scenes, and the 2 scenes, granted, were not great. They weren't good at all. It was all off.
Yeah.
Gangster Joker, which is weird, but this one looks like Joker, like real psychopath Joker.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me a little bit, almost like Nolan Ryan's Joker, not quite, but kind of going back to that kind of.
And I think that's really where we need to be. I think so. That works better for Joker, for his style. They need that. You don't need to write damaged across your forehead. You need to show us that you are
the Joker. Yeah.
And I think that we have even that one information about how he's going to be wearing his like normal-ish outfit, the surgeon outfit that we've seen pictures in, and then a SWAT vest with all of the officer badges that he's taken out, which seems a little bit more like Joker than gangster Joker. So
I'm waiting to see how that all fits in, because that doesn't make sense in the original storyline.
It's going to be in the
definitely has to
stuff.
be I was going to say either it's going to be in the Nightmare or it's just a subplot that's just in there.
So we're going to only see Deathstroke and Joker in the Nightmare stuff in this movie. Only in that. We're going to be getting more information, and the movie itself, this is not a spoiler. He announced this. It's going to end on a huge cliffhanger that has to do with Nightmare. Part 2 is going to take place all in the Nightmare sequence. That's where it happens in the timeline. So it's not the Nightmare sequence anymore. It is continuing on with the story. He said he's not sure that that's going to happen. Of course, he doesn't know. But I'm sure that if this one's received well enough, that AT&T is probably going to be like, well, that got us a lot of money. Let's make another one.
If Warner Brothers can make money, they'll make another one.
Correction. I need to make a correction. By the way, Nolan Ryan is a baseball player. It's Christopher Nolan. Just hadn't made that because I knew I was going to get some hate mail. So I wanted to make sure we made that correction.
I heard Nolan and I ignored everything else you said.
Here.
Well, that's normal. But anyhow,
Mike and I inevitably say something that sidetracks us from the entire show at some point. So there you go. Welcome to Something About Something.
I would like to, I know we talked about after the Snyder Cut, we would like to do another show specifically on that, and maybe talk about some of the backstory of Snyder. And I would like to officially invite you back to that podcast. I would love for you to give us some input, what you think about, of course, the thing with, the whole controversy between, Snyder and Wheaton and all the stuff that Snyder had to go through. And then about of course, the 4-hour film we're going to watch. So, I'd love to have you back on again if you're willing to do the show.
Yeah, I would love to be able to be talking about it as much as I can, because I'm sure that my dad and my brother will be tired about it after a long time. After like 5 minutes.
We'll check dates with you. We do have a set date for that already, and we'll get with you and make sure that date works. And if not, then maybe we'll move some things around.
We can do that.
We are flexible.
Yeah.
David says, Nate was trying not to correct the blunder. His favorite director is Christopher Nolan.
Oh, yes. I'm glad I did that. Oh, man.
Hey,
I totally missed it. Well, you said it, and I was like,
I heard Nolan Ryan, and I'm like, he had Nolan. It's okay. It's fine.
I got a pass. Awesome.
You got the Nolan in there. I don't refer to him as Christopher Nolan. We're on a last name basis. It's Nolan.
Okay. Yeah.
Just Nolan.
Yeah. Just Nolan.
There's that.
Yeah.
There is that. I actually did get the DC Infinite just very recently, because I simply can't afford to go buy comics anymore, and so I am currently reading the Dark Knight series, the Frank Miller stuff. So
Dark Knight Returns
good
is
stuff.
so
Yeah.
good.
Really good. Really good stuff.
Todd says, at least you didn't do his name what you did to mine, Michael.
We need
Shall
to take
we
that.
explain the inside joke?
Let's do it. Let's do
Okay,
it. You do it.
So a couple weeks ago, Mike was trying to say Todd VC,
VC.
and he failed epically and said Todd Feci.
Okay.
And
we were doing a toilet story, by the way, on Stupid News.
That is,
and Todd's job is he one of his big things is he mows lawns. So we decided that Todd Feci was his brother that does
the fertilizing.
The fertilizer.
Yes.
So that is the
great.
inside joke if you missed it a couple weeks ago. But man, any last words about Justice League? I'm excited about Justice League. I want to see it.
Awesome.
I'm so excited. It's been 8 years in the making. Almost 4 years waiting for it after the theatrical cut. So it's about time. I'm ready for it.
My girlfriend, Daryl McCarty says, my girlfriend went to the comic shop with me and got mad I spent more on comics than a vacation with her.
Awesome.
New 52 is what got me into comics, so I get it.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. I spent more than was healthy back in the 80s and early 90s.
Hey, that was the good era.
Yeah. It was fun stuff back then. Well, anything else,
awesome.
gentlemen? It was a great show.
Great show. Nate, you are an awesome guest.
Thank you.
I learned so much, and
Fantastic to have you, Nate.
man, it was awesome.
If
you for having me on here.
If you guys haven't heard of it yet, definitely go check out Tatooine Sons podcast. You can hear they lovingly call this gentleman BB Nate.
Nate.
You can hear him and his brother Sam and his dad David talk all about, well, it used to all be about Star Wars, and now it's going to be all about a whole bunch of stuff. So it's kind of like our show, except well produced and not ridiculous.
It's probably not. I wouldn't keep the well produced part. We always have something go wrong, so it's okay.
It was really great to have you, man.
Thank you for
I
having me
appreciate you coming on to the show.
Thank you.
Any last words, Mike?
I just think this is one of the best shows we've had in a long time, and I just really appreciate Nate being on here. I had so much fun, and we would love to have you back again.
All right. Well, why don't we wrap it up and we'll go ahead and play the outro.
Let's do it, my friend.
This has been the Something About Something podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Shelley.
And my friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Pope.
We survived another
We
one,
did
gentlemen.
that. But it felt so free and effortless.
I know.
What a great show.
You know,
I love having guests.
and you didn't say Todd Feasey.
No, but you said it twice now.
Dang it.